Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. This will be part 3 of my OSRS Hardcore Iron Man series. If last week's episode was basically me AFKing and safe spotting bosses for 15 minutes, this episode was basically about 30 to 40 minutes of me just running around places. All of the quests I had done in the last week and a half basically were extremely just run around, do one thing, run around to another place and do another thing, and it was just that over and over and over again. But I cut a lot of that out. I apologize for some of the length of the video. This was cut down from about 7.5 hours of stream footage, so there was a lot I had to cut out and it was taking a lot of time, but I did the best I could. But anyways, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you aren't subscribed already. Hit the notification bell if you want to see when my new videos come out. And if you don't like it, hit the dislike button, but do me a favor and leave a comment on what you didn't like about it so that I can try to improve. That said, let's get right into things. So an update on the overall status, I got 1156 total level and 142 quest points after all the quests were completed from the ones that I show in this video, as well as the total levels from getting a lot of those quests done. I got huge herblore boosts, mainly from One Small Favor and Eadgar's Ruse. And then the video I have showing here is the end of the Bon Voyage quest. I actually had this recorded, but I forgot to put it into the last update, so I'm just showing that here. And then also I got the bank constructed on Fossil Island so I can be doing my birdhouse runs, which are so critical and really just a great training method for lower level hunting accounts especially, and a good source of seeds. For treasure trails, I did this hard clue and I got a bunch of rune items. This rune Fulham was really the only one useful to me because I had already gotten a rune scimitar, so all the other rune items, they aren't really used in in stashes at all, and so those were basically useless, and that was disappointing. I got this one, which was a page and then a black heraldic plate, which is kind of cool. This had 3 green firelighters, and green obviously my favorite color, and I'm gonna update my phoenix pet once I get 100 of those. And then here was my rune sem that I finally had gotten, probably about the drop rate from killing gangsters on the fighting organized crime or tackling organized crime on Zaya. Alright, so on to the quest. The first quest I had done was Dragon Slayer. The time-old, classic or whatever, and it really felt like a great accomplishment to get this done. I was definitely over-prepared and over-leveled to get this quest done, but I felt good about doing it all the same, so we trotted over to the Champions Guild, and then from there, we had to go pick up our Dragon Fire Shield from Ducaratio, which was a great upgrade to the account since we can't make anti-fire potions yet. This is going to be whatever we need for fighting dragons, basically. So we went over to Melzar's Maze and started to get the keys to unlock different doors. I didn't know that each individual monster has a unique body type of feature that lets you know that they're the ones that drop the key. Never knew that before. Didn't know it was in the guide because I didn't use the guide last time. That was really handy. So we kind of blasted right through this maze, grabbing all the keys. Killing Melzar the Mad. Killing the demon. Safe spotting it, of course, because why would I do it any other way? Then we went up to the Oracle on the top of White Wolf Mountain, who told us to put things in a certain order into the door. I didn't know that order was specific, so by the time I got to this door, I had to guess. So I literally guessed the order on these 4 items to get in, and turns out I was right. I just screwed this up. Holy shit. I completely guessed on the order. I didn't even know. Wormbrain did a Wormbrain thing and decided not to give us his piece of the map even though he's in prison, so we ended his life pretty quickly. And then we got his piece of the map by using a handy telegrab. I went and bought a ship at Port Sarim that was in need of some repair. We went below decks and it had some holes that needed patched up. So we took care of those fairly quickly with some planks and tar, just fixing those. I don't know how seaworthy that would truly be. But after we got our captain, we embarked on our great journey into the island of Crandor. Yeah, that's a pretty nice drop.
Boat! I'm on a boat! I'm on a boat! Take a good hard look at the motherfucking boat! I'm on a boat!
Prep work, which will make us go real fast. Oh boy. Turns out Elvarg was pretty much a pushover at this point. I was definitely over-prepared for fighting him. We were able to get into a little bit of a safe spot. We clearly didn't have access to anti-fire potions because I don't have that kind of herb lord level. So we did the best job we could, successfully managed to kill him and rip off his head. Success! And that was the end of Dragon Slayer, and it almost felt like doing this as a kid again, just having all the account restrictions and having built everything up from the ground up by myself. And it felt just amazing to have that kind of accomplishment. Obviously it's in Dragon Slayer too, but I won't undermine the value that I felt doing that. Next up we had the Underground Pass, and for some reason whenever I make a video it seems like I'm doing one of these Morning's End Elf series quests. I'm always in the bank on the southeast side of Ardoin, just sitting there looking at my loot tab for some reason, like I am here and like I did in Song of the Elves. But we talked to King Lathis and he sent us out into the Underground Pass to find a way through. So we went to the entrance, found Koftik, who had been just chilling outside, and went through. Once we were underneath, there's this huge cavern that we have to explore. I got fairly lucky throughout this. With the fire arrow on my first shot, I was able to shoot down the rope. Pew! And then when we came to this chasm, we swung a rope across and were able to make it without falling on the first track, so that was lucky. Okay, so let's just start here. Oh, that's a bad one. Oh, goodness. Woohoo! Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not as bad, but still, it's not graceful. So it's really good for going around doing clues. Oh, you don't like questing at all? I think for the most part I like it. You really know that the devs are pretty barbaric when they have you rolling a boulder onto a unicorn and smashing it into bits. so that you can rip its horn off. I think I could have found another way to take off its horn without completely obliterating that thing, obliterating it, but oh well. Alright, time to kill these people. Wow, no! Fuck. Once we made our way back in, safe spotted these 3 knights to take the little amulet things they had. Safe spotted these demons so that once they were all killed, we could take their amulets so that we can imbue those into the doll of Ivan. That was one part down. Next, we poured some alcohol onto this burial tomb and lit it on fire, which gave us the next part of Ivan. I didn't end up being able to safe spot this boss, but I didn't remember it wasn't poisonous, so that was good until I had looked it up in the guide, and it wasn't as hard as I had remembered, so that actually went smoothly, and I felt lucky for that. Although in this next part I felt dumb because after I searched this cage, there was a message in the chat box that said I had found the part, but I didn't notice that, so I kept searching cages for a while until I read the message and was like, oh, I actually had already completed that. So with all the parts for the doll completed, we run into the center, drop the doll into the well, and that's pretty much quest complete. Well, that was easy. It was good getting that quest done because the plan for my next week basically is trying to complete either the start of the morning end quest and regicide and roving elves just to get them out of the way, and then I also need to go find some white berries so that I can do hand in the sand. My farming isn't nearly high enough to make them myself, and hand in the sand would be really good so I could start getting buckets of sand for free every day. But the only white berry spawn other than in the wilderness, which would be stupid, is actually in not Iorwerth, but that whole region. So then we started the Troll Stronghold quest line by talking to the Nulth in Berthorpe, and we started all of these. Didn't get all of them done, but we got a lot of them done. And these pretty much had the most running back and forth out of any of the quests we did. Well, with the exception of one small favor, but now this dumbass guard lost the combination, so we had to get him super drunk, which involved giving him a blurberry special. Now keep that in mind, because that'll come up later, that pre-made blurb special. So even though he won the role, basically I already had gotten him so drunk he couldn't count, and that way we were able to get the combination, which was on the back of the IOU that he gives us, of course. So then we have to put these giant colored balls in the same order, and really they shouldn't have been that hard to just do a permutation on and see which order and which types of colors they are to unlock it, but that's neither here nor there. Now that we need to find this way to get to the trolls secretly without getting stoned, we kind of talk to this crazy hermit. Had to run up this secret path. There's a little Sherpa up here. He has some chickens and goats or whatever in a tent. So we talked to him, and he of course asked us to get his climbing boots spiked. Sounds like a small favor to me. So we have to run all the way back down the mountain and go over to, I want to say Danforth, but Dunstan, who's the blacksmith in Berthorpe, so he can put the spikes on the boots. So we'll run up to him, get those spiked. Have to run all the way back over and up the mountain back to the Sherpa. And then once we're at the Sherpas, then he'll allow us to go through. we find the secret path to this troll stronghold and return triumphantly to dlive and say we found a way. And overall, quick, painless, easy quest. And my favorite part, we get to make these awesome claws, and you know, short of having declaws, this is the best I'm going to get for a while. So then we go back to dlive. We're starting the second quest in the troll stronghold, or the troll series, which was, of course, troll stronghold. Go there, go back because we forgot our climbing boots, and then do what I would of course do and safe spot the dad boss. Inside the stronghold, safe spot one of these troll generals. They drop the key to get into the prisons below where we're freeing Dunstan's son, so we get that key. And then become the hero by freeing both of these guys, Edgar and Dunstan's son. And for money. Gotcha. And it's really nice because we get a law talisman out of this quest so that I can start making my own law runes. They're a little hard for me to get right now, and I actually do train rune crafting, unlike some people. We'll leave those people unnamed. Out of this quest, we can go straight into Edgar's Ruse, which is great because it gives us huge amounts of herblore XP, like 20,000 herblore XP, or something like that. It's a crazy amount. But he needs us to find some goutweed so he can purify his druidic circle or some garbage like that. So we have to run all the way up to Berthorpe. We could have used the games necklace and teleported. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Go up the Sherpa path and go through the Sherpa's house, doing this whole long road all the way back to the mountain. We don't have the Trollheim, or whatever it's called, Troll Mountain teleport, Trollheim teleport. Up to the mountain, and Edgar kind of just chills in this little cave up here by the goats and stuff. It's a little bit of an interesting place to live, but it does look kind of cozy and isolated, except that adventurers are constantly coming in to ask you to help them. And then go talk to Burnt Meat. It's kind of fun that the trolls are all named supposedly after the first thing they eat, but it's a good thing that humans aren't, because it'd all be the same, like 20 foods. Get the Drunken Parrot. I think it'd be a really cool addition if you had that cosmetic parrot from Treasure Trails, and if you could get it drunk and then it actually would like say things in chat. It would be really awesome if you wore it. Anyway, we stuff that underneath this torture rack so that it'll kind of imitate a human being tortured. Basically, we mug this druid to get his robes. Not sure how I feel about that ethically. At return to pick up the parrot, it's probably had enough, it's picked up some like, don't eat me, or, something like that. I don't know why the trolls would really torture humans. I figured they would just eat them. And then once Edgar assembles the entire kind of human body replica for us, we give that to Burnt Meat, tosses it in the cooking pot, says that we can get into his private access of goutweed, and then similar to kind of everything else that has gone on with these quests, we kind of go into the next chamber, realize we don't have something, and then I have to go backtrack to go get it. And you can kind of see right there I forget about it. And yep, gotta go back. Now, up. Alright, he'll go over and I'll go out. Yes, got my 3. So the completion of that gives me an 11,000 Herblore XP boost. Just at a lower level is massive. Next stop, Keldagrim, doing Giant Dwarf. I had meant to do this last week, didn't get around to it. This is another just really quest-like quest that I enjoy. Shot. There be the boat. Rise of the Red Axe, Part 1. And there's the statue. The giant. No! Although following the theme, there's so much back and forth in this quest. It's like, alright, we'll run to the east side, run to the west side, run to the east side. And you can go through the consortium, but since you have to go up and down the ladders or the stairs, it doesn't really help that much. And there's, at least I've experienced, some pathing issues when going through the consortium. But anyway, you know, plotline, spoilers ahead, if you haven't done this quest, well, A, do it, but B, you know, you crash in the statue and have to remake it. Interesting clothing for sale. You know, sometimes it's just these simple animations that make me smile. And light that sucker on fire. And you know, another kind of questionably ethical thing that we have to do, we basically just rob this old man from his boots. You know, we don't know what kind of boots those are of his, but you basically just rob him. So it is for rebuilding the statue, but still, my goodness. You know, I'm hoping that the sculptor gave the man his boots back once the sculpture was complete. I kind of doubt that. But anyways, to get the axe fixed, we had to go to Thurgo, who's that fat little dwarf on the peninsula of, you know, Mudscraper Point. And, you know, basically we stuff his fat face with red berry pie. Delicious red berry pie. And then he'll fix it for you. And then the statue is partly complete, but you still need to put a head on it. No one knows what the previous king's head had looked at. But since the consortium is basically the new ruler of Keldagrim, they just ask you to pick one of the divisions of the consortium and they'll put his head on. I went with the green gemstones because I like green, and I didn't really like his face. I mean, the dude has a freaking man bun. If you see the green director, he has a man bun, so that's kind of gross. The breathe on. I think they all know who I'm gonna pick. Green. Alright, statue is complete. Bum, 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 bum. Boatload of XP. And then we did a whole bunch of stuff in the jungle. First thing was Shiloh Village. These fairy teleport rings came in extremely handy. I actually am going to count how many times I used them. So that was the first time. But I used them a lot in this quest. So talk to Mosel Rai, or Ray, or whatever, outside. We'll just call him Ray, you know. He just needs someone called Lo to kind of have a romantic relationship with, and then we'll call him Raylo. But he gives us the belt, and then we gotta go to Trephitis or Trephitis in Shiloh Village, who is from Jungle Potion, of course, and we go on this whole spiraling thing. You know, in the other quest, when I mentioned the pre-made blurb special, I had actually picked this up and done this quest way before that. Just, you know, my gamer intuition is so far advanced that I knew I would need that for another quest. It had to be put there for something, right? Use your spade on the mound. Find a fissure. Ooh. We found the Rosetta Stone and then used a chisel on it to make a different kind of alien technology reading format for, you know, whatever. Searched in some mud and found a paper. Searched in some bags and found a paper. Or sacks. Searched a gallows and found some bones. Second time using the fairy ring. The Spirit of Zetimus. Third time using the fairy ring. I think we just run across this and hope to not fall off. Yeah, we made it. Now, I've never heard of a dolmen before. Is that like an actual... A dolmen is a megalithic tomb with a large flat stone laid on upright ones found primarily in Britain and France. Fourth time. Tomb of Life is right here. There's this obviously, you know, very well hidden door. So we'll go into that thing. Actually, that giant bird, I just noticed that for the first time. Oh, because it's filling in these missing gaps. I never noticed that. Fifth time. Don't ask me how I ended up there. And then we need to get across this bridge again. Let's make it, let's make it, let's make it, let's make it. Yes! Goodness corrupted me. I tried to destroy all life, and now I am released. And I'm grateful to be at complete rest. Woohoo! Alright, some crafting XP and access to Shiloh Village. You could do me a small favor. There it is. Small favor and nip to the Jungle Forester. Need a piece of red mahogany to resurface an antique wardrobe. Okay, see you in a tick. This one line. This one line is the biggest lie in all of RuneScape. That you'll be back in one tick. Let's see how much of this I can get done in one breath. So you gotta go to Shanks to give him the axe to get sharpened. He tells you to go to Port's Rim directly to talk to Brian, who turns out he needs help from Ava. So you gotta go to Ava, and she needs help finding her apprentice, Jimmy the Chisel, who happens to be prison in the Ham hideout, and he needs out. So you gotta negotiate for his release to get some chickens. And then you gotta go to Fred the farmer to get the chickens, who tells you to go across the river, and then to the other farmer, Seth Groats, who says that he'll give you the chickens. However, he needs some chicken cages from Horvik, and when you go to Horvik, he turns out to be sick, and then you gotta go to the apothecary to get things, who's a dumbass. And when he breaks the pot like that, you gotta go to the lady in Barbarian Village to learn how to make pot lids, but she's under financial stress from this dwarf, so you gotta go to the dwarf, who lies and tells you that he wants to be a druid. So you gotta go to Sandfew and have him take an apprentice druid. But then Sandfew does this. Alright, now we make the tea. So we use the water on the... God damn it. Oh, did I just click empty and not use... So when you get a replacement Guthix rest, you gotta go give it to the gnome and then ask him to take Sandfew there. But it turns out that the landing lights in Feldip Hills are broken, so you gotta go to this guy for whatever reason, and then you gotta go get a weather report from the seer. But the seer can't do it because he sees this lady who's stuck in a rock based on a wizard's accident. So you gotta go to the wizard and then get a spell to unrelease her from the rock, but you gotta go get the materials from this guy who wants his mattress stuff. So you go to Rance because the feathers are stuffy, but he can't get the feathers because he can't hunt, because this gnome is making too much noise being an idiot and not being able to fix his own landing lights. So you gotta fix the landing lights for him and put them in the things. But then one of the landing lights breaks and you're unable to actually fix it because you break too many of them, so you gotta go all the way back to the bank and return and then fix the landing lights with the replacement ones you already had in your bank. And now that the landing lights are all pretty and working, we'll do the whole thing in reverse. So you gotta go back to Rance to get the mattress, to give to him, to get the iron oxide, to give to the wizard, to get the spell that'll free the lady from the rock. And then you gotta go back to the rock, but then it actually conjures a demon that you gotta fight. Why did I not? That's stupid of me. Yeah, suck it. So you do it again to free the lady, and then when the lady's free, you go yell at the seer who won't give you the weather report because the weather report needs the weather vane to work. So you go up and fix the weather vane, and then return to this guy to talk to him for some reason. And then you go back up to the gnome on the mountain to tell him that the travel to Feldip Hills is okay, and then you go back to Sandfew, who will now take the apprentice. And then you gotta go back in here to tell the dwarf that he can be an apprentice to Sandfew to become a druid, but then his dwarves attack you because he was lying the whole time. Ah. And then you go back to Barbarian Village to learn how to make pottery clay lids for the pots, and then tell her that her financial stress is not there anymore. And then once you have that, you can get the smelling salts from the apothecary once you go back there. And then with the herbal tincture and the smelling salts, you fix Horvik, and then he'll modify your pigeon cages into chicken cages, so that once that's done, you can return to Seth Garotz in Lumbridge and get a bunch of chickens from him to go negotiate for Jimmy the Chisel's release. So you take those chickens into the ham hideout and deliver them. Once that's done, then you can go tell Ava that her apprentice Jimmy the Chisel is fine and that she can help out Brian. So you go back to Port Sarim and the axe shop, who tells you that is all bullshit anyways. Finally returning to get the red mahogany by delivering the sharpened axe so that you can give it to the antique collector in Shiloh Village, and almost 10,000 ticks later, more than one tick, you can finally complete one small favor. Ah! A key ring. 2 unusual lamps. Woohoo! Quest complete. Oh, finally. And that is going straight into Herblore. Level 38, I can make prayer potions. Yes! More Herblore. Level 40! Anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.